the fabulous Chelsea Clinton to our fabulous city of Battle Creek, Michigan.
I'm really excited, particularly to be here with your fabulous Senator Debbie Stabenow, someone I've enjoyed getting to know throughout this campaign and really come to admire so much. And I want to thank Mark Schauer, who spoke earlier, and I particularly want to thank Jim Wrigley and all the organizers who are working so hard here across Michigan. My mom has more than 200 full-time organizers across the state. There have been thousands and thousands of people who have now volunteered, and I just am so grateful. So please just give all of them a big round of applause. I am so excited to be here to talk a little bit about my mom and share some thoughts about what I think is at stake in this election. I think everything is at stake in this election. I think this is the most important presidential election of my lifetime. And I feel that way in part because I'm now a parent, and this is the first presidential election I'm participating in as a parent. And I didn't know I could care any more intensely about who was running for and holding public office until my husband and I were blessed to welcome our daughter Charlotte into the world a couple of years. Oh, thank you for applying for Charlotte. Charlotte a couple of years ago, and her little brother Aiden 4 months ago. And I found I could care more. And that surprised me because I grew up spending a lot of time at events like this. And yet this election feels so personal to me because I know that whomever we elect to succeed President Obama will shape the country, the world, and really the future that my children and their generation, your children, your grandchildren will grow up in. And yet I think even if I weren't a parent, this would feel like the most consequential election of my lifetime. Because I do think everything that I care most about, everything you care most about, is at risk. The progress that President Obama has made, that I think he gets far too little credit for having made, is at risk in this election. The opportunities for further progress, everything that you've heard about already this afternoon, and really I think our core values as a country are at risk. And so I just want to share a little bit about kind of how I think about this election and then open it up to your questions or your comments for what more you think we can and should be doing to ensure that we turn Michigan blue in 10 days up and down the ballot. Because we have to have a resounding, affirmative outcome for my mom at the top of the ticket and all the way through. So what do I think is at stake in this election? And why do I think that we both have to defeat Donald Trump and elect my mom? I think both of those are hugely important. And I do think our values are at stake. I never thought I would see in my lifetime the almost normalization of hate speech that seems to be Donald Trump and his campaign's main strategy. The racism, the sexism, the Islamophobia, the anti-immigrant rhetoric, the rhetoric against Americans with disabilities, the disrespect to our veterans. None of that represents the country that I want to live in. And it's already having a negative effect on our children. When we say that our kids are listening, that's not rhetorical. There are so many stories that I've heard now from parents and even from kids themselves who've been bullied in the last few months. The Trump effect, the rise of bullying in our middle schools, our high schools, even in our elementary schools is real, and it is damaging, and it is unacceptable. Just one story that I think about all the time because it haunts me. I was at an event similar to this in Pennsylvania, and afterwards I was shaking hands and urging people to, of course, vote for my mom. And a woman grabbed my hand and and she said, "Can I share part of the reason that I'm supporting your mom?" And I said, "Yes, thank you." And she said, "I came to the United States 12 years ago to go to graduate school at Penn State, because I thought if I went to graduate school, I could get a better job, either here in the US or back home in Guatemala, to support my then 6-month-old son." She said, "I did get a better job here, and he and I are both proud American citizens." She said at the time she was sharing the story, "My son went back to school less than 2 weeks ago, and he's already had 3 different kids in middle school say to him, either go back to Mexico, or I can't wait until we build a wall to keep people like you out." That is not who we are. And I've lost track of the stories like that I've heard across our country. I also, thankfully, have lost track of the stories that I've heard from young people who say to me, "I know that I got health insurance through the Children's Health Insurance Program because of your mother's work. I got the 5 heart surgeries I needed because of CHIP. Or I got the early intervention for my diabetes I needed. Or I got the chemotherapy I needed for my leukemia." I've also lost track of the number of young people who've come up to me and said, "I was in the foster care system and I know I got adopted because of your mother's work." Or "I know I was an early Head Start because of your mother's work, and I thought about her on the day I graduated from Harvard." I've lost track of the number of people I've met whose family members were 9/11 first responders, who say they know their loved ones got and are still getting the health care that they deserve, and we owe it to them because of my mother's work. And so this election to me is both about defeating Donald Trump and proving that love trumps hate is not just a slogan, and it's also about electing my mom and proving that Stronger Together is not just a slogan. Because it matters to me that my mom never forgets who she's fighting for. I mean, every time that she's criticized for being overprepared, I think, well, I want my president to be prepared. Or when she's criticized for her decades-long work in public service, I think about all those stories I just shared. Because it's not a statistic if it's your life. If you're the one who's gotten healthcare coverage, or you're the one who's gotten an educational opportunity, or you're the one who has had her or his life changed because you've been adopted, you're not a data point. And I think we need a president who really understands that. So I'm gonna work my heart out for the next 10 days. Can't quite believe it's 10 days. That either feels very soon or very far in the future. Yeah, you know, the guy in glasses like, yes sir, yeah, you feel me, yeah. Well, so both of those occur to me frequently throughout the day. I'm like, oh my gosh, 10 more days. Oh my gosh, 10 more days. Yes. But we have 10 days, and we have to do everything we can to ensure that people really know what's at stake in this election. Because I do think everything is on the ballot. So whether what you care most about is early childhood education, or putting parents and teachers back at the center of the conversation about public education, or whether it's about higher education affordability, or our economy, or finally getting to equal pay for equal work, whether it's about criminal justice reform, or having climate justice, or just recognizing that climate change is real, and a real threat, but also a real opportunity. And all of that is on the ballot. So I just am so grateful, because I know so many of you have already volunteered your time and your energy, but anything else you can do over the next 10 days is really appreciated. Because I do think this is the most critical election that I certainly have ever seen in my life. So I hope now you'll give me a chance to answer any questions that you might have, or if you have suggestions, I'm really eager to hear those, because we want to make the most of the next 10 days to support my mom, but also to support the coordinated campaign here in Michigan, so we turn Michigan blue from the top to the bottom of the state. And you don't have to be old enough to vote to ask a question. I'm so happy to see so many kids here, so that we never forget what this election is fundamentally about. So I hope you will raise your hands if you have questions or suggestions, advice, thoughts. And please, I know you already did, but I'm just gonna ask you to applaud one more time for all my mom's organizers and volunteers.